Hello students. So here we have our first unit of business statistics and mathematics. First unit is interest, and these are the topics. Topic number 1, we have to study simple interest and compound interest, then nominal and effective rate of interest, concept of annuity, feature value, present value, perpetuity. Fourth topic is equated monthly installments, that's EMI, calculation of EMI by reducing balance, and flat rate of interest. So these 5 topics we have to study in our first unit. So let's begin. First topic, simple interest and compound interest. So what do we mean by interest? Suppose I have some principal amount with me and I can keep it safe in my house, but I want to give it to banks. Why? Because bank is giving us some extra money. So I deposit my money into the banks and we have few extra money on my principal sum. So the definition for interest is the extra money given by a borrower to a lender on some principal sum owned by the lender. In this case, the bank is a borrower and I am a lender because I have some money, few principal sum. That extra money is called interest. This is called interest. So next point is, what is the rate of interest? How these banks are supposed to give interest? They have some rules or fixed rates by which they give interest. So this is called rate of interest. Let's understand what do we mean by rate of interest. Normally, rate of interest is the extra money given on each 100 rupees. This is how they calculate the rate. Suppose 8% per annum. This is the rate of interest given on fixed deposits. What do we mean by 8%? So this means that 8 rupees 8 rupees as interest on each 100 rupees, and that is calculated for only 1 year. So this says that if I deposit 100 rupees in some bank which decided to give 8% of interest per annum, how much extra money I will get for that 1 year? For that 1 year, I'm going to get 8 rupees on that 100 rupees. Like that, if I deposit more money, my this 8 rupees extra, it get increased. Suppose I deposit 200 rupees for 1 year, so I will get 8 plus 8, 16 rupees as interest. Next is one more example for rate of interest, 7.5% quarterly. This is also one way of giving interest by some banks. 7.5% quarterly means 7.5 rupees on each 100 rupees paid 4 times. This is very important. 4 times. 4 times is related to this quarterly word. Quarterly means the bank is going to pay 4 times in a year. If it is half yearly, so after 6 months, 6 months, I'm going to get interest. This says that yearly I'm going to have 2 times interest. So 7% quarterly means 7.5 rupees on every 100 rupees invested by me in the bank, and that interest is deposited to me 4 times in a year. So I hope rate of interest is clear to everyone. So this is the rate of interest denoted by ROI, is written as R% per annum. R% per annum means only one time in a year. Then R% quarterly, we have seen it. So R rupees on every 100 rupees. Quarterly means 4 times. Then R% half yearly, 2 times in a year. So after 6 months. We also have some examples of rate of interest per month. So 12 times in a month in the end of every month. So next is when I'm going to get the interest money R%. So we have seen this per annum, quarterly, half yearly. The same thing we are going to discuss in this question. When I'm going to get the interest money. Actually, it depends on the bank. They can pay us after 3 months. 3 months is quarterly. So 3 months, they so there are uh, 4 times I'm going to get interest after every 3 months. After 6 months is called half yearly. 12 months, after 12 months, that is annual, per annum. For instance, I have deposited 600 rupees in some, say, IDBI bank in a saving account, which gives usually 4% per annum interest. That's a saving account. And I'm keeping 600 rupees for 3 years. So I've deposited 600 rupees for 3 years, and the rate of interest is this. It means they are giving me 4 rupees on every 100 rupees invested by me, but I have invested 600, and I'm keeping these 600 rupees for 3 years. How much money I'm going to get after 3 years? So after 3 years, definitely I'll get more than 600 rupees. So let's count. So I have done the calculation for 1 year by 4% per annum on principal sum 600 rupees. So 4% of 600 this is how we calculate the percentage. 4% of 600 is 4 upon 100 into 600. It comes 24 rupees. So for 1 year, I am going to get 24 rupees on 600 rupees. How this 24 comes? So I have explained that this 4% means 4 rupees on every 100. So I'm going to add 4 rupees for first 100 rupees plus 4 for 200 second 100, then 4 plus 4 I'm going to add 6 times, so 3 and 3. So this is 24 rupees, but I have kept my 600 rupees for 3 years. So for this time span, I got 24 rupees, then again 24 rupees for this time span, second year I mean, and this is the last year, again 24 rupees. So it's written here. Just add them. Total interest. So in 3 years I will receive 3 times interest money, as it is 4% per annum. So total interest is 24 plus 24 plus 72 rupees. So I've invested 600, kept for 3 years. Definitely I'm going to get interest money on 600. So total 600 plus 72, 672 rupees. I'm going to withdraw this much money after 3 years. Next, with same instance, but with 4% given quarterly. Now, same amount I am keeping in the same bank for 3 years, but the way of giving interest is changed. This time I'm not going to have interest yearly. I'm going to have interest after every 3 months. So let's count how many times I'm going to get interest. I'm going to get interest 4 times every year. So up to here, this is my first year time span, and in this time span I'm going to get 4 times interest after every 3 months. So this is first 3 month, first quarter, second quarter, third and fourth. Then we enter into the second year. Again we are going to have 4 interest in this time span. Again here, how many times you can count, or simply just multiply 3 into 4, 12 times. I'm going to get 12 times interest deposited in my account. So total number of interest is 4 into 3, 12 times. You can count these dots. So 12 times I'm going to get interest. Total amount of interest is 24 into 12. So 288 rupees. How? 24 is the amount of interest of my first interest amount. First time I'm going to get 24 rupees. So this is, I have written 24 rupees as my first interest amount, then second, then third. How many times I have to add? 12 times. So instead of adding, I have multiplied it. So it comes 288 rupees, 288. Finally, how much money I will get after 3 years? 600 plus this much, 888 rupees. You can see, you can compare that. If my rate of interest in previous example, my rate of interest was 4% per annum. It's written here 4% per annum, and the total amount withdrawn is very less, 672 rupees. But when my rate of interest is 4% but given quarterly, my interest amount is 288 rupees. It's very big as compared to the previous one. So total money withdrawn after 3 years is 888 rupees. So this example makes one thing very much clear, that the rate of interest per annum gives very less interest as compared to the rate of interest uh, half yearly, and then comes quarterly. Quarterly gives the big amount of interest. So here we have the idea of simple interest. What do we mean by simple interest? So here we have a formula, simple interest denoted by SI, denoted by P into R into N upon 100, where P is the principal sum deposited, R is the rate or money on every 100 rupees. For example, if it is 4%, then R is only 4 without percentage sign. So for previous example, P was 600 rupees, N is the, oh, we haven't discussed about what is N. N is the number of times interest paid, or in some cases, it is number of years. In some cases means when my rate of interest is per annum, annually, this N is exactly equal to the number of times of interest paid and the number of years, because number of times and number of years for annually deposition of interest, they are equal. This is not in case of when my rate of interest is half yearly, because in half yearly rate of uh, interest is given 2 times, and the number of years, it may be 1 year, but in 1 year I'm getting 2 times rate of interest. Quarterly, 4 times in a year. N is 1, but number of times is 4. So more precisely, we must define that N is the number of times interest paid. So I'm not going to say that N is number of years. If it is annually, this N and this number of years and number of interest paid, they both are equal. Okay, so coming to this explanation, in for previous example, principal amount was 600, N was 3 years, means 3 times interest paid, because this 4% is per annum. This is very important. So it is per annum, so I can take N as my number of years, and you can see that this number of years and number of times of interest paid, they both are equal, and R percent is 4%, so R is 4. Simple interest formula is this, put everything into it, 600 into 4 into 3, so 72 rupees. This is called simple interest. What happens in simple interest is 600 rupees deposited in the beginning of first year, and I'm keeping it for 3 years. So first year, second year, and third year. And the rate of interest is 4%. What happens in simple interest? This whole money, 600 rupees, is treated as principal amount for every year. So what is the interest for first year? It was 24 rupees. When I come into the second year, 600 is again a principal amount for me in the beginning of second year. What is the interest? 24. So my principal amount is fixed. It's not changing in the beginning of every year. So 600 is fixed. Everything is calculated on 600. Very simple. So 600 for 3 years by the rate of 4, and upon 100, this 100 is coming because of rate. What was rate? To remove this percentage sign, we divided by 100. So this is the explanation. What do we mean by simple interest by a small example? And the formula you have to remember is this formula for simple interest. This is very basic formula which we have seen in 11th 12th classes. Let's move further. One more explanation. Now my principal amount was 600 rupees. but my rate of interest is 4% paid quarterly. This is very important. Keep this thing in your mind, that my interest is paid quarterly, means 4 times in a year, and the rate of interest R is 4. So what will be your N? You cannot write N is equal to number of years. It will be 3, which is wrong. So in this case, I must define my N very precisely. N is number of times interest paid in 3 years. Since it is quarterly, it is 12 times. So put everything into it. 600. P is 600. This is my R. This is my N. Divide by 100 because of rate, and it comes 288 rupees. You can see my manual calculation, the previous manual calculation and the formula, they both give same amount. This is about simple interest. We will take more questions on simple interest. First of all, we are trying to finish the theory part, the explanation part. Compound interest. Let's see what do we mean by compound interest. So let's understand what is compound interest. Same thing, same principal amount. P is 600 rupees. Rate of interest is 4% per annum, and I'm keeping that amount for 3 years. So here we have a timeline, 600 deposited in the beginning, and for that 1 year time span, how much interest I'm going to get? You can calculate. 4% of 600. We have done this. 24 rupees. So I'm going to get 24 rupees for first year. So in the end of first year, how much money I have in my account? 600 plus this 24 rupees. So total money in my account is 624 rupees. So here is the difference between compound interest and the previous simple interest. In simple interest, my principal amount for every year was same, 600 rupees. What happening in this case? I'm going to get interest on the interest money. So I'm getting interest on this 600 and I'm adding in my principal amount. Now for the next year, I will get interest on this 600 plus 24 rupees also. I will get interest on 24 rupees also. So my interest is compounding. It's compounding on my previous interest. So for the calculation for second year, my principal sum is changed. It's not 600 for second year. It is 624 rupees for second year. Now I will calculate what is 4%. What I'm writing here. What is 4% of, what should I write? 600 or 624? 624. Because I am in second year. So what is 6% of 624? So how to calculate? 4 upon 100 into 624. I have done all the calculation. It comes this much, 24.96 rupees. This is my extra money for second year. So total money in my account, just add this extra money into this principal. How much I get? I get this much, 648.96 rupees. You see, my money is increasing in the end of every year. Now this 648.96 paisa is my principal amount for third year. Again, I'm going to calculate 4% of this much. What will be it? You can calculate, it comes 25.95 paisa. Then I have to add this into the principal sum. It comes this. Can you see the difference? Every year, for simple interest, every year my interest amount was 24 rupees, 24 rupees, 24 rupees. But in compounding, what happened? For first year, my interest amount was 24 rupees. Then my interest amount for second year was 24.96 paisa. The interest amount for third year is 25 rupees point 95 paisa. This is the difference in simple interest and compound interest. Why this happening? Because I am calculating interest on interest money. I hope this is clear to everyone. Let's move further. Let's read it. What is it? Okay, this is the theory part for this formula. How much amount I'm going to get after 3 years if my interest is adding by compound interest method. Let's see. This is very easy to understand. If suppose principal sum P is deposited in some bank and the rate of interest is R% per annum. So I'm depositing rupees P and that bank is giving me R% per annum. So you must know what is R% per annum. Suppose P is kept in a bank for 3 years. Deliberately I'm taking this n is equal to 3, and in the end I'll write this 3 as n. I will generalize this formula. So then what happens? Let's see this time span. So I have deposited, let me choose pen. I have deposited P rupees in the beginning of first year. This is my first year, second year, and then third year. So I've deposited in the beginning of first year, I've deposited P rupees and the bank is giving me R%. So how much money I'm going to get in the end of first year? So I already have P rupees in my bank and the bank is giving me R%. So how much extra money? R% of P. So just calculate it. R upon 100 into P. So PR upon 100. What is this? This is extra money which I have to add in my original sum, principal sum. So I have done P plus PR upon 100. So in the end of first year, I have P plus PR upon 100 in my account in the end of first year. So this amount will act as principal sum for the beginning of second year. So this is my principal sum for second year, and bank is giving me interest by R% of this. So R% of P plus PR, you can calculate it. R upon 100 into this thing, P plus PR upon 100, this thing in bracket. It comes this much, R upon 100 into this bracket, P plus PR upon 100. Now what is this? This is my interest money for second year. What I have to do, I have to add this in my original money. So add this to this. So here I have written P plus PR upon 100 plus the interest amount. Then comes the simplification part. What I've done, I have taken common this bracket. So I've taken this common P plus PR upon 100. Here I have 1 because this is gone common and this is also gone common. So 1 plus R upon 100. Then from this bracket I can take this P common. So P is outside, 1 plus R upon 100, 1 plus R upon 100. This can be written as P 1 plus R upon 100 whole square. This is for second year. Can you guess what will happen for third year? So this power 2 is coming because for second year. What will happen for third year? So for third year, principal amount is, so this whole thing is the principal amount. I'll write here. Then R percent of this thing. And you have to again simplify like this. Definitely you will get P 1 plus R upon 100 cube. Why cube? Because for third year. So this much amount you will get after 3 year. So this is a small explanation regarding theory, how this formula is coming. Okay, let's read this. If sum of rupees P is deposited in a bank and the bank is giving me R percent per annum and P is kept for n years. So this n is the number of years and my rate of interest is per annum. Then the total amount, how much money I will get after n years. The formula is this. A is equal to P 1 plus R upon 100 raised to n. This n is very important to define. We have to define and we have to understand what do we mean by this n and how the meaning changes regarding with respect to the rate of interest per annum, per quarterly or half yearly. So here we have defined R percent as per annum, n is number of years. I'll go with this definition. N is number of times interest paid. P is the principal sum. This works everywhere. N is number of times interest paid. This is true for every example. Let's move further. So we have okay, so I think theory part is finished and let's begin with examples. 35,000 rupees is deposited in a bank. So I have 35,000 rupees deposited in a bank and for 5 years it's been locked. I cannot withdraw that money in between. Bank gives interest by rate 6% per annum and it's written compounded annually. Very good. So there is no need to change or calculate the number of times interest paid. So what it says, the bank is giving me 6% per annum and it is compounded annually. What amount I will receive after 5 years? So let's use the formula. So here principal amount is 35,000 rupees. Rate of interest is 6% per annum and I haven't written compounded annually. So I must write here compounded annually. Let's read further. N is the number of years and or the number of times interest is paid. In this case, it is both same. Number of years is 5 and I'm getting interest in the end of every year. So how many times? 5, because it is compounded annually. The amount after 5 years, the formula is this. N is 5, R is, what is R? What is R? I haven't written. R is 6%. So only R will be 6. PP is 35,000. So here I have written everything. You just need to calculate. 6 upon 100 is 0.06 plus 1. It comes this. Multiply. So after 5 years, my 35,000 rupees is grown to 46,830 rupees. Okay, so this much final amount I will get after 5 years. Why extra amount? Because bank is giving me 6% per annum. How much money I have gained in this 5 years? Let's calculate it. So extra money, that extra money is called compound interest, and in this example that interest is compound interest. How to calculate it? The final amount I have received after 5 years and how much money I have deposited or invested in the beginning or initially, just subtract it. So 46,830 minus 35,000 I have invested initially. This much money I got as interest. Let's take one more example. So I think it's the same thing. 35,000 deposited in a bank, giving 6% per annum. So interest rate is 6% per annum. Yeah, okay. So there's a change. 6% per annum compounded, not yearly, half yearly. Half yearly. So means I will be receiving interest twice a year. So every year, 2 times I will get interest. So in 5 years, definitely I will get 10 times. This means more money. So 10 times 2 into 5. So let's read further. What is the amount received after 5 years? Principal amount 35,000, rate of interest 6% per annum, but compounded half yearly. Half yearly, okay. So here we have a time span. Okay. So let's understand this. So for 1 year, so it says that this 6% is for 1 year and I'm getting interest half yearly. Banks people are very smart. They are not going to give 6% for 6 months because it's written 6% is for 1 year. So for 1 year, if this is my first year, 6% for this complete 1 year. What will be amount rate of interest for half year? If the 6 is for full year, then 6 by 2 is for half year. So 3%. 3% for half year, then 3% for again next half year. This is what they do when my compounding is half yearly or quarterly. When it is quarterly, you have to divide it by 4. They reduce the rate. They are not going to give 6% for 6 months because it's defined 6% for 1 year. Okay, so for 1 year, rate of interest is 6%. So for half year, rate of interest is 6 by 2. So I hope you have got this point, why I divide by 2. If they give 6% for half year, they will be in great loss. So that's why divided by 2. So here the explanation for why dividing it by 2. 6% for first year, 6% for second, then third, and then fourth, and then fifth. So for every 6 month, you have to divide the rate of interest. 6 by 2, 6 by 2, 6 by 2. That's 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%, 3%. So how many times I'm going to get interest? How many times? Let's read this. So in compounded half yearly, rate of interest is divided by 2. Rate of interest is divided by 2. What is n? In this case, n is not equal to 5. It's not 5. It is the number of times interest is paid. So you can count. So I'm receiving interest here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So 2 into 5. So why this 2? This 2 because of half yearly. Okay. Because of half yearly, times gets multiplied and rate gets divided. So rate will be divided by 2 and the number of times will be get multiplied by 2. What's next? Okay, so this is the formula. A amount after 5 year is P 1 plus R by 2. So my new rate is R by 2. I cannot write 6% here. I cannot do that. Okay. And the n is nothing but 2n. So this n is 2 times number of years. 2 into 5. This is 5. 35,001 plus this is 6 by 2. 3 upon 100. This is 10. Then comes the calculator part. You can use non-scientific calculators to calculate these. So my 35,000 rupees grows to 47,005 rupees in 5 years when my interest is compounded half yearly. Means I'm getting 2 times interest. So the what's the compound interest? Compound interest is amount received minus amount invested initially. So 47,005 rupees minus 35,000, it comes 12,005 rupees is my interest amount. Let's compare the previous example when my interest is compounded yearly. What was the interest earned when my, so this is the explanation for compounded annually. So my interest earned in this case was 11,830 rupees, and in compounded half yearly you can see the difference, 12,000, where it is 12,500. So here I have one more example. You can see same thing, compounded quarterly. What do you think, what will happen to my interest amount? It's increasing from annually to half yearly, then it comes quarterly. Now definitely it will come more than this 12,500, sorry, 12,005 rupees. Let's see how much. You can see the calculations. Since the interest is compounded quarterly, so 4 times in a year. So every year I am receiving 4 times. Rate of interest, you have to divide it by 4. 6 by 4 divided by 4. Number of times I am receiving interest is 4 times number of years. 20 times. This is the calculation. Please have a look. You can pause the video to see the calculation. Yes, the final thing is compound interest is 47,000 minus 35,000. So this is the interest earned when I am compounding quarterly. So 12,145. So 140 rupees extra than compounded half yearly. Let's see what's this. Okay, this is the formula for compound interest. So the formula to find compound interest is amount minus P. So what is the formula for finding amount? I'm writing here. If my question is related to compounding interest, the formula to find amount after n years is A is equal to P 1 plus R upon 100 raised to n. This is the final amount I'll get after n years. But how much interest you have to calculate it by? A minus P. So this is the calculation you can see here. Okay. So P. So instead of A, I have written this formula here and just subtract the initial principal amount. You will get this formula. P is gone common. So this is the formula for compound interest.